We all recently just agreed that one of the craziest things that could ever happen is going to the hospital expecting to deliver one baby and ending up with 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. That's exactly what happened again. We're talking about Jon and Kate Plus 8. If you remember the popular TV show from the early 2000s, very, very similar to Octomom. There are only a couple key differences. Just like Octomom, Jon and Kate had fertility issues. They had trouble conceiving, getting pregnant, so they went through the process of IVF. They took her eggs, they took his sperm. She had a bunch of viable eggs. Just like Octomom, they gave her the opportunity to reduce the number of eggs that could get fertilized. And just like Octomom, Kate declined. So now I'm trying to figure out, why did America seem to hate Octomom? Why did she get death threats? And why did America seem to love Jon and Kate? They were instant celebrities. They were adored. They were gold. I can only see one difference here. Leave it in the comments if you think you know what I'm about to say. There's two main differences. One is Octomom had 13, 14 kids. I don't even remember right now. Jon and Kate only had 8. After 3, it's insane anyway. After 3, you have no control. Y'all are outnumbered after 3. So whether you have 8, 14, or 27, y'all are outnumbered. The main difference I see between Octomom and Jon and Kate is that she was a single mother. And apparently America hates single mothers. But because Jon and Kate were married, they were couple goals. They were family goals. They got the endorsements.
Millions watched the season premiere of Jon and Kate Plus 8 last night, drawn to the latest chapter in the lives of America's most talked about family and reality TV.
But before we even get into that, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning and see how Jon and Kate even met. Kate was always a hustler. Kate was a go-getter. She said, I'm going to figure out a way to set a goal, meet it, I'm going to get to this money. They made it seem like Jon had no motivation. He had nothing going on with his life. Basically, Jon was a bum. He said he just got done backpacking across Europe. He didn't have a job. He didn't have a career plan. He didn't know what he wanted to do. He met Kate and basically followed her lead. Whatever she said we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. He really didn't want to get married, but Kate wanted to get married, so they got married. He really didn't want kids, but Kate wanted kids, so they went through their first round of IVF, and they had twins. Jon was cool. He was set with the situation. Kate said, no. I want one more baby. Similar to Octomom. She ends up having 6 more babies. She gets put on bed rest immediately, basically in her first trimester. So she lost her job. And the job that Jon was working at, he had to quit because he had to stay home with the twins. Somebody had to watch the twins. So now they're both unemployed and they have 8 children. Again, they start turning into a news sensation, even though they're trying to keep it low key. The hospital was like, oh, hell no, we done seen this before. Y'all can't tell nobody. But word does get out. People are sending them gifts. They get 6 car seats sent to the hospital. They get 6 strollers. People are sending them just diapers and wipes, everything they need, everything they want to need. And I just think it's wild how the single mom with more kids, we call CPS because she came by 8 packs of diapers at one time. But just because this woman is married, we're going to provide everything they need, even though her husband is a bum. But that's the way they painted him on TV. We'll get to that. All right, if you can't tell by now, back in the 2000s, it was easy to get on TV. Right now, if you had 8 babies or 14 babies at one time, they're going to turn you into a meme. There is no, you're going on Oprah, you're going to talk to Steve Harvey, you're going to get on Ellen. Back in the early 2000s, if you could hit a dancer, if you could Dougie real good, you was getting on Ellen. Now, we're gonna make some memes. We're gonna make fun of you, and in the next week the news cycle continues. I don't know what to tell you. Even virality doesn't mean you're not getting a penny. A lot of people are gonna know your face, and you're still gonna be broke, unfortunately. But back then, it was easy to get on TV. So after they had the babies, they were doing Oprah, they were doing all these TV shows. And of course, they were both unemployed. So Kate was like, let's do this show. Jon and Kate Plus 8 was the most watched television show at that time. Now, mind you, she was supposed to have 7 babies. One of the babies didn't make it. So she ended up only having 6. All right, so now they're doing a TV show. Their whole life is a reality show. And the reality show has to have a narrative. It has to have drama. It has to have something to keep you tuning in week after week and watching what's going on. So for the narrative for this show, because it was just mom, dad, kids.
Jon, you need to take a break and help me clean. I just want to roll this off of here.
Well, I'm doing this. Just can you wait 5 seconds?
They had to paint the parents a certain way. So they made Kate look like a bossy, nagging tyrant. They just made her look like she's always fussing at Jon. She was talking to him like he was one of them little babies. Like every time they cut on us, Jon, why haven't you done this? And you don't put this there, you put it here. And I have a list and I have a sketch. She was known for making her list now. And if you didn't follow her list, you was gonna catch it. She didn't care if you was Jon, the cameraman, the producer.
She was probably, I'm sorry, can you stop breathing so loud, honey? Breathe quietly. So I consider them sick, anyone sick, for... Do you hear yourself breathing? Oh, that's just gross. Does anyone hear him breathing?
I'm sorry for breathing.
And Jon was just made to be this clueless imbecile. And I know that's the stereotypes that they give men nowadays, where they have all these videos like, oh, do you know your child's birthday? Do you know your child's teacher? And they're like, no. But in all reality, he's just playing a part.
Yes or no?
He is on the phone a lot. I do have to say that I will come home and the kids will say, I'll say, oh, did Daddy play with you? No. What was he doing? He was on the phone.
Yep.
An average 3.2 million viewers every week. 3.2 million people was sitting at the crib, cutting their TV on and watching these two fools try to deal with 8 kids. So who do you think was telling the truth? Do you think Kate was really as naggy and bossy as they say she was? And do you think Jon was really as passive and dumb as he pretended to be? Or was that just for the cameras? Drop it in the comments and let me know, like, who do you think played which role? If you've ever been in a relationship, if you've ever had a child, one child, you know a child can strain a relationship.
Hey, when are you going to pull the stick out? Because it's getting really annoying.
You know, when you go from we lit, we turned up, we're dating, we're just parents, to did you get the diapers? Are you going to pick such and such up for practice? You don't get time to go on dates no more. You're not having intimacy as much. It's just all about the child, the schedule, and what y'all have to do. Bills, work, kids. Bills, work, kids. You know that takes a strain on any relationship. So imagine going from 2 kids and doing okay financially to 8 kids and being dead broke. So now we have 8 kids, but we're constantly being recorded. We're always being recorded. So now do you not have privacy with the kids? You don't have privacy within your own life. Jon was sick of the shit. He didn't want to do the TV show to start with. Kate loved being a celebrity. She was always camera ready, even though, you know, she did her role was, you know, I'm that mom. I'm that stay-at-home mom. So she dressed down on the show, you know what I mean? She did the schedules, the schooling, the packing the lunches. Jon was over it. So even at the height of their show, when they were pulling in about 40,000 an episode, Jon was like, look, I'm out. I want a divorce. Now,
I'd like to apologize for my family for my actions. Like I said, it was wrong place, wrong time. I never cheated on Kate, and, you know, that's the way it is. I don't care who believes me.
He did not file for a divorce. He asked Kate for one, and she filed. And I always wondered why she did that. Like, if you want to leave, leave. Why would she file if he's the one that wanted to leave? Because that just looks away. But statistics show 90% of the time the woman will file for a divorce. I'm not sure what that's about. Like, if you're unhappy, king. I feel like Kate filed for the divorce because she wanted to spin the narrative. She had got so good at the TV game, she knew how narratives work. And America watched to hate her. They watched because they were like, I don't understand how he puts up with her. I don't understand why she's always yelling at those kids. She doesn't talk to them right. She had a reputation for being the borderline abusive one. So this was her chance to spin the narrative. So when he asked for a divorce, she ran and filed, and then the allegations came out. Well, Jon is running around with a 20-year-old woman. He's been spotted. Here are pictures. Now she's doing interviews talking about Jon's infidelity, making him look like a piece of shit. And let's not forget, he was already known to be a bum. He was already known to be unemployed. He was already known to not have a backbone, not stand up to her, not make any decisions in the house. So all we have is documentation of, well, she's putting up with him and raising all of these kids. So when the cheating allegations came out, America turned on Jon so fast.
This possibly could be maybe, I don't know, our last family picture. So I knew it was important to do.
They turned on him so fast you would have thought it was NASCAR. Like, they was ready to be mad at him. So she really used the divorce as an opportunity to spin the narrative to go from looking like the bad guy to getting our empathy. And everybody felt bad for her because how dare you leave her as a single mom with 8 children? It's just so easy to switch your opinion. So basically, he stayed quiet because the bag was still coming. She wrote him a contract. So basically what we were seeing on TV was not true. She knew the relationship was over and wrote him a contract that said, you do you, boo. She wrote him a contract that said, as long as you show up for filming, date who you want, talk to who you want, take pictures with who you want, I don't care. We just need this bag. When it all came out, she made it seem like he was cheating, but actually they hadn't been together for a long time before all of that happened. When the allegations got to be too much and she was on a string of interviews just bashing him and putting his name in the dirt, he separated from the show and she continued filming, and they just changed the name to Kate Plus 8 because it still rhymed. So then it was more about her and her organization and how she dealt with the kids. Now the kids are getting older, and we know when kids are little, they be talking. So when they get big and get older, they really start spilling the tea. So some of the kids, there were abuse allegations flying all over the place. Some of the kids said she was abusive. Jon said she was abusive. Some of the kids said he was abusive, that he was hitting and punching and kicking. The kids said, look, both of them, the stuff that parents do, they not parent right. Most of the allegations came from one child in particular, Colin. As they all grew, Colin was the child. We all know those family members that it's a bunch of siblings and they have that one sibling that just leave and you don't never see them or hear from them again. And then as your kids grow up, they'll say, oh, well, you have an uncle, but we haven't seen him in 45 years. That's that situation with Colin. So when Kate wrote her first book, the babies were really young. They were 5. The last 6 kids she had were 5 when she wrote her first book. And she wrote an individual letter to each child in the book. Her letter to Colin, not only was it long, she was saying things like, I hope our relationship can be repaired. She was saying things like, it's hard for me to control you, but I hope one day that you'll listen to me. Like, she knew she had fucked up her chances with Colin when he was 5. Like, she already knew. He not gonna mess with me when he get older. And she was very right. She was right. I'm all for going no contact. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your cousin. If they did something for you to mess your nervous system up and you can't find peace being around that person, do what you gotta do. So she ended up putting Colin in a mental institution because she couldn't control him. He wouldn't listen to her. Jon ended up going and getting Colin out of that mental institution, but a while later, he would say that Jon was abusive to him as well. So like I said, a lot of allegations were flying. We really don't know what's what, but I tend to believe victims. I tend to believe children. Nobody was arrested for anything. When you go no contact, it's usually for a reason. You think Colin was telling the truth? Do you think Kate was abusive, Jon was abusive, or do you think both of them weren't doing something right between all of the kids? Let me know what you think. Out of this whole situation, the main thing that I want to say is that Jon and Kate, with them 8 babies, or them 8 kids, they had the whitest co-parenting situation I've ever seen in my life. Jon went on an interview with Steve Harvey, because remember, like I said, it was real easy to get on TV at the time, and told Steve Harvey, well, I haven't seen all 8 of my kids at the same time in years. Usually when I go, I only get 4. And Steve was like, how that work? Like, what you mean? He said, well, I pull up to the bus stop, or I pull up to the house, and whoever come outside, that's who I take. And Steve was like, what? He was like, yeah, whoever get in the car, that's who go with me. He was like, I don't talk to Kate at all. She don't talk to me. When I come, whichever kids come out, that's who I take. I said, this is the whitest co-parenting situation I have ever seen in my life, because it's in it, and it's 8 of them. You taking these kids. I don't care if you got to pull up in a Winnebago, you got to pull up in a passenger van. Bring something that's big enough to get these kids and their bags. Because what you mean, whoever come out? Like, they let the kids make all the decisions. Even when it came down to custody, they just kind of let them go back and forth. Like, well, you want to live with dad? Go on, live with him. You want to come live with me? Come on, live. Like, I understand if the co-parenting situation is volatile, then no, y'all don't need to talk. But there are procedures that the court could put in place to make sure that the communication is still there. They just said, look, we had 8 kids. I'm not talking to him. He not talking to me. And matter of fact, kids, y'all do what you want. It's just so fascinating to me when I hear stories like Octomom or Jon and Kate, because I feel like it's very similar paths. These women had a choice when they went to IVF. And I feel like IVF was a new procedure at the time. So again, they kept saying, well, the chances of getting multiples are very low. But you had twins your first time. So you know the chances of getting multiples are there. So if you're putting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 eggs that are viable, you know that's a possibility. And I understand they said, reducing the eggs, you can't, as a mom, you don't want to pick who lives and who doesn't, basically. You don't want to do that. But it's just so weird to me how we were like, ooh, that single mom has too many babies, so we're going to send her unaliving threats, and we're going to call her names and drag her through the mud. But this couple has a lot of babies, so we're going to give them a new house, and we're going to send them everything they could possibly want. Kate was saying sometimes she would say something on the show like, we're out of paper towels, and strangers at home would just send them boxes of paper towels, just whatever she needed. Y'all are weird. Y'all are weird for that, because I'm not saying don't help people, but if you're going to have empathy and help one situation, you should want to help both. Yeah, so all the kids have gotten older now. They're talking. It's tons of videos on this topic right here. So if you're just down for some early 2000s nostalgia, go down the rabbit hole, look at some interviews, let me know what you find out. And if I missed something, drop it in the comments.
He takes longer to get ready than I do, and that's really irritating. Jon, please help me instead of playing with toys.